Hello, everyone. Thanks so much for joining me here today as we get to talk about one of my favorite subjects, comic books. My name is Jose. I love comic books. I love talking about them. I love sharing them with you. Feel free to follow me on social media if you would like. Links are in the description below. I've also posted a link to the Marvel fan site that'll have plot synopsis and character bios for this issue. Today we are looking at X Factor Annual Number 1 from 1986, written and drawn by Bob Layton, his farewell issue. Angel is wearing a different costume, but they're fighting an old Iron Man foe in the Crimson Dynamo here. And of course, this is all during the mid 80s, so the Soviet Union and the Cold War were in the middle of it, and we can see the symbol of the old Soviet Union here. So Bob Layton, of course, does the cover, pencil and inking it himself. Bob Layton had left because he went to go do Iron Man with his buddy David Michelini or Michelini, depending on how you want to pronounce it. And then, so he would be taken over for a second run, which is absolutely fantastic. And I am covering that run as well. All right, so we start out with a television ad for X Factor. Of course, this is the guys that the original X-Men have of mutant hunters. And then we get a little exposition of the different stuff that they've been doing. So you can see here in Los Angeles and Mexico and Denver and Miami. Here we have Brett Breeding is performing the inking, and the title of our tale is A Grand Design. All right. So after weeks of non-stop cases, X Factor returns home from another mission to find their public relation advisor, Cameron Hodge, eagerly awaiting for them. So he's going to tell them that there are two representatives from the Russian embassy who have come to see them. You can see Cyclops here is a bit surprised. And Jean Grey's like, what do the Soviets want with us? So they're all going to go get ready for this. Angel, so he hides his wings in this little thing here. They're all going to privately think what exactly do the Russians want with X Factor. So everybody sort of has an opinion here. So then they go into you can see here they're heading into the conference room. So Hodge introduces them to these two diplomats, Sasha Yasinov and Major Nikolai Uzbek here. And so what they want is they want to learn and study X Factor's method of detecting and capturing mutants so that they can implement similar tactics in the Soviet Union. Cyclops, of course, is going to try to wriggle out of offering assistance to keep their cover safe. So you can see here he doesn't have the government's permission, but of course, this guy here tells him that the U.S. Department has approved of the exchange of information. So they're going to say, well, I guess we'll have to mull it over. And then Cameron's going to politely escort them out of the building here. So you can see here, Jean's like, we can't do that. And Beast doesn't trust him either, and neither does Iceman here. And they're like, I think they're hiding something. And Cyclops agree, and then asks the Angel if he got all that. Of course, Angel wasn't present in that because, he's Angel here. So he says that he heard every word. So they all agree that this would attract too much attention. But before they can agree to decline the offer, Cameron's going to tell him that a friend of his from the Senate Committee on Mutant Affairs wants to meet with them before they make their decision. Because this could impact the lives of hundreds of mutants that are behind the Iron Curtain here. So, and the Iron Curtain is what was referred to as things in Russia, because of the control of the media, you just couldn't get anything out of it. So the term Iron Curtain came out. And so, speaking of that Iron Curtain, there is a prison here that has been specially built for the detention of Russia's many mutants here. And one of these mutants has managed to escape from his cell and is going to use his powers to break the wall. But you can see here that the Crimson Dynamo has shown up, and he gets rid of the guy and unfortunately kills the dude. So the Crimson Dynamo is the guard. He's the head guard of this prison here. So we can see here the Twin Towers, the old World Trade Center. He drew every window. That's anyway, and they're gonna meet with Senator Thompson in a secret elevator. So not just a it says here once the service elevator here. So here is the dude, the senator. So while he's seeking privacy, the senator stops the elevators between floors so he can tell them that the information of the information that he's gathered. He tells the group that he knows about X Factor's secret. It even calls him Iceman. And so everyone is sort of shocked. So as you can see, X Factor's looking at this, and Cameron Hodge. It's kind of funny because I don't think he was ever made to do that heel turn that they had, but I think that Louis Simonson did it perfectly. Louis Simonson has taken over X Factor, replacing Bob Layton, who left to go do Iron Man. And so he shocks him by revealing that behind the Soviet lines, they're dissecting and experimenting on mutants in order to manipulate the X gene in human DNA to create mutations that can create super soldiers for use in the Russian military. And so he provides X Factor with all the information, telling them that their insider was killed before he could reveal the location of the camp. And he tells them that the Soviets have hired a geneticist by the name of Wolfgang Heinrich, who was born in East Germany during 1932. Now, during this time, Germany was divided into East and West, and the Russians had control of East Germany here. So, his dad was one of Adolf Hitler's greatest geneticists, and Wolfgang has followed in his father's footsteps. So Senator Thompson asks X Factor to accept the Russians' offer and try to find the mutant prison and shut it and Heinrich down. The Beast is reluctant to aid Thompson because the Senate's Committee on Mutant Affairs has been hounding mutants over the years, but Thompson tells him that he's met with them in secret due to his sensitive position in the committee, and that their secrets are safe with him, and he's now trusting them with his. So you can see, Gene, we don't really have much of a choice. Give us a specific senator. And so X Factor agrees to basically take the case in their mutual desire to help the Russian mutants that are being slaughtered in the name of the military science. So they arrive in Russia here, and this is how Americans believed that things were in Russia based on all accounts here. And these mutants have come, and you can see death to the mutant hunters. And this guy grabs Iceman and off he goes, but he's shot, even though Cyclops is like, don't shoot. So he goes down. And it's like, you shot him in the back. And you look at him, you stinking commie butchers, I ought to. And Cyclops trying to keep their cover here. And she's like interesting. So she's saying, why is a mutant hunter showing, that kind of stuff? And Cyclops says, you know, we're all mad, but you're gonna blow our cover. So, and Jean thinks here, this mission's starting out like a nightmare. So X Factor is escorted to their hotel room and are cautioned not to go out alone, of course, for their safety here. So once they are in their room here, Scott has Bobby use his powers to lower the temperature in their room to freeze up any KGB bugs that might be recording their conversations so that they can discuss their missions here. And this is a nice little thing, adding the the breath. So they talk here about how they have secretly sent the Angel out to scout for the location of the mutant prison, and Cyclops cautions them from keeping away from mutant rebels and the importance of maintaining their anti-mutant charade. And so here we have the Angel, and I hadn't read this in forever, so this is why he was wearing um, a different costume. Although I mean, I think um, I you know it didn't matter because on the cover the other ones are wearing their regular costumes. So anyway, so Angel is out there now in the eastern region of Russia. And as the Angel flies through the air, scouting the facility, as he searches, he considers how scared he is and about what could go wrong with the mission. When, of course, on cue, he's attacked by two military helicopters. And so he evades them and a little bit uses some plastique or something like a little bomb here and kind of neutralize those helicopters. And he then is gonna go and continue his search for the prison. So I'm sort of going to narrate this issue. As you've noticed, I'm not really reading along. I'm just sort of narrating the issue. Part of it is I'm trying to keep these videos not to be overly long, and a lot of the writers during this period were rather verbose. So if I were just to read this, I think it would just take a lot of time. So I do apologize. I know that some of you may be used to me just kind of reading along, but one thing during the 70s and 80s is, again, the writers are rather verbose. So as Angel looks for the prison, members of X Factor are going to go to a sit-down dinner before their presentation to the Russian government. They are then introduced to Wolfram and Heinrich here. And so you can see the introductions. They shake hands. But now we get a big sort of reveal. This dude, Heinrich, is actually also a mutant. And he's trying to, when he shakes Cyclops' hands here, he senses their powers. And you can see here, this man is a mutant. His associates as well. So he's a mutant and now knows that they're mutants as well. So you can see here that he wonders what X Factor's true agenda is. And so now X Factor is going to do a presentation, and Cyclops is like, I wish Cameron were here. Public relations is his business, and I hate being the charade of, and I hate the charade of being mutant hunters. We're just getting ourselves deeper and deeper into trouble. And you can see here that Heinrich says to this guy, look at Yuri and wait for me in the hotel's laundry room. I have a disposal job for you. And of course he says, da, Comrade Heinrich, we will be prepared. So after the presentation, Wolfgang is gonna probe X Factor for answers, but he's not gonna be able to find anything that he wants to learn. So he's going to do the next best thing. He's going to trick Iceman into the back room to introduce him to a young lady, because he wasn't gay back then. He never was gay. I'm going to say this as honest as I can. There was never a hint. This was just something Brian Bendis wanted to do. They made him gay, and now he's gay, but he was never gay. There was never any hint of gayness on Iceman. So, but of course, it was a trick, and he's basically drugged by Heinrich's man, or men here. But then we're going to learn something else here. Heinrich is going to use his own mutant powers, and he can not only assume Bobby's form, but he can also mimic his ice powers, so he can infiltrate X Factor. So he's got quite the power here, and you can see here he's able to use the ice. So he orders his men to kill Iceman, and he's unaware that the butler here is part of the mutant resistance in Russia. So here they're gonna take Iceman outside here, and soon they are subdued here by a priest here with mutant hypnotic powers. Religion also was banned in Russia during this time here. So funny that he's wearing a priest. So not only is he a mutant, but he's also a priest. So he's got a bit of a double whammy here. Then they're going to take Iceman, once they hypnotize, they're going to take Iceman to their headquarters and sort out the information when they get him there. So back at the party, Heinrich joins X Factor as Iceman, and they immediately tip him off to the fact that they're seeking the prison, and they intend on freeing the captives. But he decides here that he will not allow that and ensure that they never leave it alive. And if you ever want to have a secret place of hiding, don't be right in front of the freaking Kremlin. That just seems stupid. But it's their secret mutant rebels hideout here. So he's bound and tied here, and you can see that his eyes are covered. He's come to saying, where am I, and who they are. So of course they know, or they think they know, what X Factor is. So Iceman uses his powers, and here, and it's kind of funny. Here you can see the suit and tie are still containing here, and so they realize that he is a mutant like they are. And so he was ready to battle them, but this guy's like, hey, we obviously have much to discuss here. So he's gonna tell them basically what X Factor's true agenda is here, explain all these things to them so that they understand. So they are these mutants are called the Exiles, and so he introduces everybody here. He's of course a blind Faith. There's Mentak, Concussion, Iron Curtain, and Siberian Tiger. So kind of cool names for a bunch of nobodies here. And so Bobby thinks that they'll be able to rescue uh, um, the other members of X Factor, but he tells them that Wolfgang is a mutant and has infiltrated X Factor by posing as Bobby. So, all right. So back at the hotel, X Factor gets word back from Angel and the location of the mutant prison. So they're gonna try and sneak out of the hotel and change into their exterminator uniforms, which is their superhero costumes. And they're still unaware that Wolfgang is the doppelganger here. So, nice shot letting us know we're in Russia again, showing the Kremlin here, and they take the car here. And so they arrive at the prison here, which is probably somewhere in Siberia, but there's still grassy, and it just, I love it. I love the 80s. And so, yeah. And so they're all gonna try to break in. Angel joins them here. So we're gonna get into the main event here. So I'm gonna skip forward a little bit here. You can see that Wolfgang thinks he's got a trap set up for them here. So, all right, they're gonna put a little bit of these charges here, and she's gonna telekinetic them across, and they think they see something, but then when they shine the light, they don't see it in here. So Heinrich, of course, is ready to spring his trap here. So they open the door and they are aghast, or what would they say? Aghasted, or anyway, they're shocked. How about how better word, by what they see here, as they have several mutants here being experimented on, and even the beast here. How could they be so inhuman? And so Beast points out that they're all brain dead and kept alive for Heinrich's sick experiments, and Cyclops is going to order them to scope out whatever records they can find out. And so Iceman and, well, Heinrich, but goes with Cyclops. Heinrich, of course, is going to break his cover by calling on security and attacking Cyclops here. So, of course, if you remember in the beginning, what did we show? And we almost forgot about him, but the Crimson Dynamo has made his appearance. So, and of course, Heinrich is no longer pretending, and he lets them know who he is. So they recognize the voice. So between now the Crimson Dynamo and Iceman, or Heinrich, they attack the remaining three members of X Factor. And so, as you can tell, I am kind of moving this along. There's just a lot of talking and all that kind of stuff. But Cyclops has made his way back here. So he's ready. So he's like, let the battle begin. So outside, the real Iceman and the Cyber Force for Siberia here, they've arrived. And so now they're going to hope that with their combined, like the Grateful Dead shirt in Russia, that with their combined powers, maybe they'll be able to get everyone. So here they come. And we're going to have basically now a big superhero fight that you buy comic books for. And so what's going to happen is we're going to have, like I said, a fight, and eventually we're going to have Iceman versus Iceman here. But that Cyber Force is going to try to free the mutant prisoners who are still alive here. You can see him using his hypnotic powers here. And so off they go to rescue the prisoners here. And so we're nearing the end here. And so we get our superhero versus supervillain battle here. And Heinrich is going to get out of control here, and he's going to create this massive use. And he's now using just his regular face, but and he's got this big mountain of ice, and Iceman's yelling at him, saying it's the floor can't support the massive, and so off he falls to his presumed death here, because I don't think this guy's ever shown up again. And the Beast says, Bobby, you have to remember he was responsible for the death. But of course, he's got to be heroic, man. That's what the heroes are. I know, but I didn't want it to be like this. So Iceman then gives the Beast a crash course in Heinrich's command codes, which the Beast then uses to pretend that it's Heinrich here, and you're gonna see it here. And so Bobby now pretends that he's Heinrich, and he says, I'll leave him. And so he looks like Darth Vader-ish almost here, but he leaves. So thus ends the battle here. And so you can see here they're rescuing everybody out here. And they're gonna meet with the mutant underground, and they're gonna now realize that the KGB is gonna know that they're missing and make a connection between X Factor and the exterminator. So Blind Faith comes up with a solution, and knowing that the idealistic members of X Factor will not really allow him to go through with it, he uses his power to force their compliance with a hypnotic suggestion. And when so basically now X Factor returns to their rooms here, and they basically have Blind Faith gives himself up with the Iron Curtain to be able to keep their cover. So Cyclops claims that he saw the two mutants snooping around the hotel and used their mutant hunting methods to capture them. And so he asked about all the military activity, and she says it's only a drill. And they're gonna escort X Factor back to the airport so they can get their flight back to the United States here. And so, as they are in the airplane, they don't like the idea of what it was, of what Blind Faith had them do here, and they see the angel here. Other people, of course, see them here, and they're like, get out of here, you stinking freak, and all that kind of stuff. So, but they're unaware that Dr. Heinrich is still alive, and he's actually on the airplane with them. So the end. So I try to look to see if this guy has shown up again, and I just was I just was not able to find anything. So I think this is his only appearance. So all right, X Factor Annual #1 by Bob Layton with inks by Brett Breeding. Like and subscribe. I do thank you for listening. Goodbye.